some relationships are transactional, and that's
It's
okay.
more than
It's
okay.
totally
Yeah,
fine,
yeah. He talks about that
right?
in his book, right? Yeah, he
Yeah,
called
he
yeah,
does, and
yeah,
he's talked about it on podcasts.
yeah.
He's a brilliant. You should read his book if you're
If you
trying to be in the
haven't,
music industry. You
yep.
absolutely should read his book. Like, he's a brilliant guy who's built it from the ground up, um, and gives information in a very relatable, honest, and just brilliant way. Um, but those transactional relationships are fine, and a lot of those are internet relationships, and a lot of people mistake internet relationships with real life.
Yes.
I have the relationships I have because I've gone out, we've like hung out late into the night at places like at live concerts, at music, eating food, talking about our dreams, our hope, our aspirations. I go to funerals, I'm at birthday parties, I'm at christenings. Like, that's why I have the strength of the relationships I have. And I don't do that because of the strength of the relationship. I do that because that's my community, someone I care about. But it also goes to the strength of the relationship, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason why I have a link to almost anything is because I've been there with someone through something, and they've been there with me. That's why they can call me. You know what I mean? Like,
Genuine.
it's genuine, but that it comes through shared experiences.
Yes.
That's what lends itself to you. Now, some of these are extreme. Like, I have trauma bonds with a lot of people, but I'm going to the ends of the earth for the people I'm trauma bonded with. And I'm not saying go out there and do something stupid with someone or go
No,
through
no, but
some
you're a
crazy
very loyal
shit. But like,
person, man.
yeah, but like, that, again, you just can't replace human connection and human experience. And you can have very meaningful relationships with people that you meet online. But there comes a point where at any given time, that person can just not answer your DM, or just like they don't have an emotional connection to
Correct.
you in the same way that if we had dinner at 2 a.m. after the club,
Yeah.
and like we're talking
Just
about our
kicked in on some
dreams and
real life
hopes
shit.
and like what we're trying to do and sharing things about our family
Yeah.
and things that we've gone through. So there's no replacing going outside. There just isn't. You don't have to be the most outgoing person. You don't have to be the most like, the biggest personality and lighting up the room. You have to be there.
Mhm.
Like, people will look at us. Some of these younger kids will be like, man, they joke Illuminati. Like, how do you guys all know each other? Da da da. I'm like,
Right,
because
right, right.
there used to be 500 of us or 250 of us. Like Basquiat used to have the downtown 500.
Okay.
He'd be like, New York is the same, as much as there's millions of people in New York, it's the same 500 kids at every art show, at every concert, at every party. It's the same 500 kids. And so I used to joke and be like, in Toronto, we have the downtown 250. And like,
Yeah,
'cause we're a
yeah, yeah,
smaller
yeah,
city,
yeah.
but it's the
That's
same
good.
people. And 20 years later, there's about 30 of us left.
Yeah.
And doesn't mean everyone's dead, but like, some people have passed on, some people got deported, some people got jobs, got
Doing other
families,
things, yeah.
they're doing other things, whatever. There's 30 of us still here, and we have those memories, and we have that in common, and we have that history. And we might not have been the closest friends, but you remember what Riley's was on Wednesday night. And when I call you, you're gonna pick up the phone because we saw each other at Riley's on Wednesday, and you're from that school. You
Yeah,
know what I
of
mean?
course.
So that means something. It's not replaceable. Be part of your city's downtown 500 or your downtown 250, because in a few years from now, when you're one of the last ones standing, those relationships that are in place, those familiar faces, that sense of you understand me
Mhm.
because you were there. We might not have been close, but I know you were there, and I was there, and that means something.
Yeah, can't
Like,
replace that.
nah, man, it's like Ocean's 11 when they're like, uh there's a code for those that shook Sinatra's hand.
Right. Oh, yeah,
There's
yeah,
a
yeah,
code
yeah.
among people that shook Sinatra's hand. I'm like, I feel that way about Nip. I feel that way about Nipsey Hussle. Like, if you shook Nipsey's hand and you had a certain thing, like, there's a code now amongst us.
Yeah.
We got to carry
I feel
certain
that
things on,
yeah,
and we got to and check for each other. I was never close with Nip, but we had a brilliant conversation. We like built a true like value of respect, in a short period of time before he passed away. And now, if like I know if I met someone through him, I'm always answering their phone call.
mm,
There's people that hit me that I met through him where
mhm.
it's like Okay, cool. What do you need? What
Mhm.
do you got? I got you.
Mhm.
Because we both shook Nip's hand.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like we were both at Riley's on Wednesday night. Like I said, Jay Devonish and all them. Shout out them for creating a space before, remix, before,
Yeah.
the internet in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the internet existed, but in that kind of way. Um, those things all mean something and you can't replace them. You have to go outside. You have to build relationships.
Kids need to have their next, the new downtown 250.
The new downtown 250 and it exists.
I'm sure it does. Yeah.
But if you want to be a part of the cultural scene or the cultural industry, then you have to be part of the cultural scene.
Yes. That's yeah. Can't bypass that.
You can't.
Yeah.
You have to be a part of it.
Yeah.
You have to contribute. If you're not contributing, you're a leech.
A fact.
You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely,
and
bro.
you're going to be seen as such and exposed as such down the line.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You know?
Like very fast you can get weeded out from that stuff.
Yeah. So like go contribute, man. Toronto has an incredible cultural community that still happens. I pop out every once in a while, not nearly as much
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
anymore,
I
but I
mean,
still tap
family
in here
man,
and there
bro.
to see
Yeah.
what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also it's not my generation.
Exactly.
And I recognize
Yeah, yeah.
that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I will support individuals, but I'm at a place now where recognizing things still and being like, "Oh, this is really cool. I see it popping off. I'm going to support that." Because if I support that, by extension, that's going to support the downtown 250.
Yeah.
I don't need to go and support the 250. If I can support this, that's going to be that
Mhm.
because that's not me anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I have this, but I also am not going to close off to that because I'm going to wither and die. You
You're one of the greats, brother.
know?
One of the
Likewise.
ghosts, man. I appreciate you so
Likewise.
much for doing this, man.
No, likewise, man. I appreciate you getting me out of the house, out of the burbs.
What's next for you, sir?
Um, just continuing to support storytellers. I truly believe that culture shifts culture. And I think every generation has the ego to believe that they're at an important moment in time. But I do believe that we're at an important moment in time in terms of world history and global history. And I think that, it's going to take a lot of people from a lot of different corners of society pushing to make, the world a better place, not to sound corny, but like for it to be the place that we want our children to grow up in.
Mhm.
And for me, my mission is to shift culture by shifting culture. And that means empowering storytellers, culture creators that are telling stories about, you know, what the world could be, that another world is possible, that what love means, what community means, what acceptance means, what forgiveness means. Um, you know, by what stepping into your truth without stepping on someone else's
Yeah.
means, you know? Um, so that's what's next for me. Like I'm really interested in film. Even like I've always been interested in film. I've helped, I've executive produced like 9 short films through the City Life project, maybe 12. But then since then, like I co-wrote Division short film with Paul Eckstein, rest in peace. I did that short film with Charles Officer and Gord Downey, rest in peace. Um, but I'm getting more into like film projects, even more so, like really stepping into it and helping connect the dots around stuff. Because it's the most collaborative art form out of all of them. Music
Yeah,
plays a big
absolutely.
part of it,
Yeah.
obviously, but so does directing, so does lighting, so does acting, so does writing, like, all this stuff. Um, Comedy to me is really exciting. I feel like the comedy industry in Toronto is feels like what the music industry felt like in 2008,
Mm.
where it feels like there's this really exciting energy bubbling
Really?
right now.
Okay.
And there's certain people that feel like they're starting to pop off internationally and might really break through,
Yeah.
but it hasn't quite happened yet.
Uh,
And there's this sense of like scrappy community that's trying to figure it out. And there's no infrastructure and there's no teams. And it's just like smart, fucking hungry people just doing it. And comedians are so important to our society because they're our
absolutely.
truth tellers,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? They allow for conversation. They create space for conversations, for really hard conversations through humor.
Yeah.
and we need them,
Yeah.
the good ones, the great ones. So I'm really excited about the comedy industry and like trying to figure out where I can play a supporting role in that space using some of the lessons I've learned
Mhm.
in other spaces. So I think like, it's going to be continuing in music, of course, like supporting because that's just a part of my DNA is like supporting great uh musicians and producers and artists and helping mentor people trying to do the business side of it. But it is like this next phase for me is really kind of, I think, expanding the vision, being intentional around it, not spreading myself too thin, but expanding the vision to really like step into this film space and try to like support the folks that are already in the community space to level up to the next rung on the ladder that they deserve to be on.
To tell the stories.
Yeah, to tell the story.